The Monster of Canterlot, Chapter 46. No, I'm sorry, Chris. I was being insensitive towards your feelings and shouldn't have let my anger at Chrysalis get the better of me. Please forgive me. Cadence's words healed any wounds in my heart from our earlier discussion. Only if you can forgive my blowing up at you, too, I told her as I embraced her in a tight hug. Of course. You know I can't stay mad at family. She nuzzled me affectionately. Are you sure I can't convince you to watch the games with us tomorrow? Yeah, I'm sure. With how volatile I can be lately, I think it's best if I limit my contact with the populace. For now, at least. I'll be there for the relay, though. I have to support my favorite filly. Yes, you do, she told me with a giggle. It's always worked for me in the past, Shining Armor added. You forget I know your past. And no, it hasn't, I teased. Well, it worked one time. And that's all I'll ever need. Shining nuzzled Cadence, making their love for one another very apparent. You better hope so, she teasingly swatted at his snout as the two of them separated. I could see where this was going and decided to make my exit. Well, as long as we're all better now, I'm going to head back to my room. When you give her a back rub, channel some of your magic into your hands and feed it into her muscles. She'll be like putty, Shining suggested, especially right between her wings. Really? I asked. Even though I'm at odds with my husband giving bedroom tips to my cousin, he is right. Cadence gave a wink at her husband. But before you go, I was just curious about why you're so adamant about letting the changelings go after what happened to you in that cave. Well, I guess I can sort of identify with them. Because of what they look like and what they feed on, they get shunned. It's the same reason why Mom locked me away in the palace for all those years. I suppose that's true enough, but what about all the horrible things they've done to ponies? Or you? Chris, they full-napped and murdered you, and now you want to give them their own town? If any pony should want to see them locked away forever, it should be you. Maybe so, but, Caddy, you weren't down there. The only one of them who is dangerous is the Queen. The rest of them are all slaves to her. Even though they're her children, she uses them as tools. I just think they deserve the same opportunity for happiness as every pony else. Before I turned to leave, I said, I don't know, maybe I'm just being crazy. Either way, I still feel like it's the right thing to do. Good night, you two. That night, I did as Shining had suggested. He was right, too. She cooed and moaned and snored. Apparently, I'm really good at back rubs. The next day, I did as I said I would, and stayed in my room during the games. It wasn't so bad. Spike had stayed in with me due to his own reasons, so I at least wasn't lonely. He and I spent the day relaxing and raiding the kitchen. Besides, there wasn't any pony I knew competing today anyway. Dinner went a lot better too. For one thing, Fluttershy was by my side. For another, there was no more unpleasantness between me and Cadence, or any pony else for that matter. Not even the once again missing Blue Blood. The conversation was light and friendly, and I enjoyed every minute of it with my wing wrapped around Fluttershy, which, judging by her smile, she was enjoying as much as I was. After dinner, I tickled Cottontail under her chin, kissed Celestia on the cheek, hugged every pony else, and carried a tired Pegasus away to her room. I gently sat her down in her bed, carefully avoiding a snoring flying squirrel. You still nervous about tomorrow? I asked as I rubbed her back with some magic being channeled through my hands. Yeah. I know I've never been a strong flyer, and I'm worried that I won't be fast enough, and then I'll let down every pony in Ponyville. I see. I started to move on to her wings and methodically preening them for her. It sounds like every day of my life. Wish I craned her head so she could see my face. It's true. I'm not of this world. I'm not one of you. I don't even know how long I'm supposed to live, or if I'm even fully grown. But from the very beginning I was taken in, cared for, and protected by Celestia. She never asked for anything in return, either. Did you know that I promised myself to never, ever do anything to bring shame to her or her position? It's true. That means that every day I have to make sure that I never allow myself to get a big head or become a spoiled snob or forget that my actions reflect on more than just me. It can be exhausting. Then why do you do it? For the same reason you go to such lengths for all your little critters. The same reason I'm making sure that your wings are as aerodynamic as possible right now. The same reason I will let nothing stop me from cheering you on tomorrow. Love. She blushed and smiled. It's also the reason you've worked so hard over the past few weeks. Hard work that I promise will pay off, one way or another. Pay off how? If I don't win, that is. Well, think of all the little bunnies you'll be able to carry now. Plus, how much more help you will be on your next adventure with Twilight. I then lightly swatted her right across one of her cutie marks, not to mention how great your flanks look. She let out a small eep noise, blushed heavily, and curled up into a little incredibly soft fur ball. I would have felt a little guilty about it if I hadn't also seen the smile spread across her lips. I decided that was probably a good time to leave her to get some sleep. I stepped out the door and heard her say, "Thank you." This was it. The aerial relay. I was standing with Fluttershy and the rest of her team in the tunnel leading to the field while they waited for their time to go. With a hand on her withers, I could feel Fluttershy shaking. "You have nothing to worry about, Flutters. You've worked very hard on your training and have improved hugely," I told her. "Hey, yeah," Rainbow added. "You're a way better flyer than you were even a month ago. Besides, even if you hadn't, I'll be able to take up any slack there may be. You got nothing to worry about." "Yeah!" came the confirmation from Bulk Biceps. "See that? You've got the support of your team, your friends, your town, and, of course," I kissed her on her forehead, "me. And remember, no matter what happens, that won't change." Fluttershy's shaking slowed considerably, and she nodded with a smile. "You're right. I do have friends that I can rely on to support me. I just don't want to let them down." "And you won't. You've already given it everything you had," I told her. "Just make sure you do it one more time." "That's right. Now get in there and show them what you got," Rainbow cheered on her oldest friend. Fluttershy smiled and trotted into the stadium along with Bulk Biceps. "Don't worry, Chris. I won't let her lose." "I know you won't, Rainbow. Now go knock 'em dead." "You got it, boss," she called out with a salute before she flew off into the stadium. I waved once more at my affiliate friend, and she waved back before taking her place. I flew up over the crowd to take my seat in the royal box. I was very happy receiving and returning smiles and waves with some of the audience members. I then took my seat next to Cadence and waved at Celestia and Luna, who both nodded back at me. "Well, some pony's in a good mood," Cadence said to me. "Can you blame me?" No, I can't. I can feel how much love you have for one another, and I couldn't be happier for you." "Thanks, Cadence. To be honest, after that mess with Rose and then Chrysalis, I was beginning to think it just wasn't meant for me." "Seriously?" Cadence's voice was filled with sadness. "Nah, I'm just being dramatic. Either way, I can't stop smiling when I'm around her. I only hope it's for real this time." "Chris, look at me." I looked into her purple eyes, and she smiled at me. "I promise you, it's the real deal. That little filly down there thinks the world of you. As long as you don't screw it up, that is." "Wow, thanks for the vote of confidence, cuz." "You know I'm just teasing you." She playfully swatted at my shoulder, and I feigned an impact and injury, rubbing the area and mouthing "ow." "Before the race starts, could you tell me something?" "I'll try." "Why her?" I tried very hard to keep the hurt look off my face. "Don't get me wrong. Fluttershy is one of the best mares I know, but, I mean, I guess, if I had to give a reason, I think I've liked her since I first heard about her in Twilight's letters. She just seemed to be so caring and gentle, and in a lot of ways, she reminded me of my mother." "Aunt Celestia?" "Well, in some ways, but no. I mean my birth mother." "Oh, your real mom, you mean?" "I guess you could say that, but Celestia is my real mom too, so it wouldn't be fair to say otherwise." I could actually see a warm smile spraying across Celestia's face over Cadence's shoulder. Her hearing really was good. The first time we met, the fight, she was the only one that didn't attack. After that, she was also the first one to give me a chance. She's always been the sweetest, kindest, and friendliest mare Colt could ever hope to meet. I just can't believe it took me so long to realize some pony like her was out there for me." Cadence smiled and hugged me. "Plus, she has a really nice flank." She was about to say something when she was interrupted by her husband announcing the start of the relay. "Fillies and gentle colts, it is now time for the aerial relay. Racers, take your places." Bulk Biceps, along with all the other first leg racers, took his position behind the starting line. Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy both floated up to their own positions. Get ready! A second later, Shining's horn lit up and a flare launched from it and burst in the air. The race had begun. All the Pegasi and Griffins took off and flew as fast as they could to meet up with their teammates. Bulk was easily the slowest one up there, but his flight path was perfect. He got close to the Slalom pillars, but didn't touch them, and he went through the very center of every ring. It's probably the only time his tiny wings were an advantage. Come on, Bulk! You can do it! I cheered him on. You're looking good out there, buddy! Don't give up! I had never seen some pony with so much muscle struggle so hard, but he gave it all he had, and would have nothing to be ashamed of if they lost. Next up was Fluttershy, and the hoof-off was only a few seconds behind the leader. As soon as Fluttershy got a grip on the baton, she was off. I couldn't contain my excitement anymore. I jumped out of my seat, ran past the edge of the Royal Bots, and my wings flared out to full extension. I couldn't even stop my Canterlot voice from coming out. Go, Fluttershy! You can do it! Hey, sit down, you weirdo, Blue Blitz scolded me. Please, be nice to the young colt, my prince. He's in love, Fancy Pants defended. And he's blocking my view with those ridiculous wings, Blue Blood whined. Then do something about it. You're doing great, Fluttershy! And she was too. That shy little filly pushed herself harder than I'd ever thought she could. While she couldn't make up for the loss of time in the first leg, she also didn't fall behind more than another second or two. Next up was Rainbow Dash. From the moment she got the baton to well after the finish line, Rainbow was nearly impossible to follow. It was to be expected since she was doing 3 of her all-time favorite activities: racing, helping her friends, and showing off. The grace and speed she displayed while weaving through the obstacles was mind-blowing. Not surprisingly, she managed to make up nearly all the time lost by teammates. She came in second place behind Spitfire, missing first by milliseconds. In short, it was truly awesome. Not far behind them, the Griffin team came in third place. The roar of the crowd was deafening. Right below me, Pinky, Rarity, and Applejack were going nuts for their friends, while Twilight was cheering from her seat next to Celestia. I couldn't resist and picked Pinky up from her seat and tossed her into the air a couple of times while she giggled like a mad pony. Shortly after the race came the awarding of the medals. The 3 winning teams took their places on the podium. Next, Shining Armor came out in his Class A armor, which I always thought was a bad color on him, to give out the medals. What wasn't planned was Spike running onto the field. He apparently wanted to redeem himself by singing the national anthem. Unfortunately, he didn't know the right one, and only wound up looking foolish again. I felt bad for the little guy, but I was far too happy for Fluttershy to let it spoil my mood. As horrible as that sounds, it was all I could do to wait until the ceremony was over before I flew down to congratulate the team. Not every pony was okay with me flying over the crowd, though. Prince Christopher, would you kindly refrain from flying through the stadium? Please forgive him, Miss Harshwinny. My cousin is just a little excited over his friend's victory. Shining defended me after he trotted over to meet us. It's okay, Shining. Miss Harshwinny, you are absolutely correct, and I will refrain from doing so in the future. By the way, I would like to congratulate you and your team on doing such a great job with the games this year. Very well, and thank you for the compliment, she said before turning and walking away to check on the next stage in the games. Still coming to my rescue, eh, Shining? We're family. I'll always come to your rescue, Chris. And that's why you're the best, I told him as I rolled his helmet around on top of his head. Now, if you'll excuse me, I see the most beautiful mare on a cuse heading this way. But I thought Cadence was still up in her seat. He smirked up at me. Smooth, dude. Real smooth. Don't you have a race to officiate? Yeah, I do. I'll see you later. See ya. I barely had time to wave to him when I found a yellow Pegasus in my arms. Fluttershy! I shouted before I kissed her. I am so proud of you. All 3 of you. You all did great. Yeah! Bulk Biceps roared. Thanks, Chris, Rainbow said while trying to hide her excitement over the one-on-one competition with the best flyer in the Wonderbolts. I'm sure it would be a memory that would stick with her for a very long time. Fluttershy simply buried her face into the crook of my neck, like a child would do with his mother when he was being shy. I was loving every second about it, especially since I knew she was smiling under all that hair she was hiding under. The cuteness of it all was nearly unbearable, but I did my best to suffer through it. Poor thing is all tuckered out, I said with a smirk. I think I need to take her back to her room to rest. I actually heard a tiny meep coming from Fluttershy, and she tucked in deeper against my neck. Right, Rainbow matched my smirk. You two go and enjoy your rest. The air quotes were a nice touch. With that, I took Fluttershy off to her room. In all honesty, I really did take her there to rest. I would have enjoyed other activities, but with her nerves, that would have been a bad idea. Instead, I gave her a massage with magic. She did, however, allow me to focus a little more on her thighs than before, so I was happy. After a nice dinner and a warm bath, she went to bed. She didn't go alone, though. We spent that night together enjoying each other's warmth and company. I will never forget that sweet smell of buttercups that permeated my nose all night long, and I never want to. And that was the first night I spent with Fluttershy.